Hi guys, so I wanted to share this video with you. It's problems with the protocol by Let's Talk Loyalism, and they're going to interview a guy called Jim Allister, who is a member of the Unionist Voice. It's a small fringe party in Northern Ireland. Now, the people who seem to have a problem with the protocol are not your average Joe on the street in Northern Ireland or businesses in Northern Ireland. Yes, they're not happy with Brexit, but they understand that the protocol is the only thing in town. The only people who seem to be angry with the protocol or have a real problem with it are loyalists and the right wing within the DUP or the DUP itself. Now, there's a guy called Jim Allister who was interviewed by Let's Talk Loyalism. So let's hear what they had to say about the protocol and the Good Friday Agreement.
I've got the protocol in front of me here. And just off the basis of what the panel members are saying, Article 1, objectives of the protocol. So this is the purpose, this is the goal of the protocol. It states that the protocol without prejudice to the provisions of the 1998 agreement in respect of the constitutional status of Northern Ireland and the principle of consent. So it affirms that the constitutional status can only be changed by the consent of the majority of the people, but by what?
And that's what's going to happen in 4 years' time. So in 4 years, the Assembly will decide whether to maintain the protocol. It will be suspended and replaced with something else, but they will vote in 4 years' time. Now, the problem for the loyalists and the unionists is that, well, they probably won't have a majority in 4 years' time. But Boris Johnson was signed on their behalf. Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister. He did the negotiations with the European Union.
What's being told to me, the constitutional status, in many respects, the constitutional nature, has been changed already. And then paragraph 3 of the protocol states that the protocol sets out arrangements to protect the 1998 agreement in all of its dimensions. So in what way does the protocol protect the Belfast Agreement in all of its dimensions, Jim? And I don't think you're a fan of the Belfast Agreement, but
no, but you know, this whole deployment of the Belfast Agreement is the biggest con of the protocol advocates, because they say, "Oh, you can't have a border on the island of Ireland because of the Belfast Agreement." So, not more than once in the Assembly, I have lifted up the Belfast Agreement and challenged any member to show me where in the Belfast Agreement it says there cannot be an economic border on the island of Ireland.
Wait a minute. Now you're changing the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts here. You're saying there can't be a border or there can't be an economic border. What the hell is an economic border? There's a border or there's no border. Now, Jim said that he stood up in the Assembly, the Northern Ireland Parliament, and he asked somebody to point it out. Well, I'm not an expert on the Constitution, or I'm not an expert on the Good Friday Agreement, but I found this in the Good Friday Agreement. It says here under the issue of security, it says the British government will make progress towards the objective of an early return as possible to normal security arrangements in Northern Ireland, consistent with the levels of the threat and with the published overall strategy dealing with the reduction in the numbers and role of the armed forces deployed in Northern Ireland to levels compatible with a normal peacetime society. And then second, it says the removal of security installations. Now, the removal of security installations means on the border. But if there is no border, then there's no need for security installations. See, there was a time when there were security installations, for example, checkpoints, army barracks, basically, on the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland for security reasons. To deal with the threat to security. That threat has gone away. Those installations have been removed. This was part of the Good Friday Agreement. But if you put a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, then you're going to have security installations, because those border posts will be a threat to peace in Northern Ireland, because it would be seen as going backwards, not forwards, because the Good Friday Agreement talks about cooperation. This would be going backwards. So the Republicans, of course, would see this as a threat to the progress of the Good Friday Agreement, and they would see it as a target. Now, is that justified? No, it's not justified, but it would be the reality. So this would undermine the Good Friday Agreement. Anyway, let's hear what else he has to say.
To show me where it says that the United Kingdom as a whole cannot leave the EU.
There's nothing in the Good Friday Agreement about leaving the EU. Like, he's asking for something that doesn't exist. There's nothing in the Good Friday Agreement that mentions leaving the EU. Because there was when it was written, the UK and Ireland were both part of the EU. If one part leaves and the other part remains, then there is a need for a border. The protocol is the way around that problem.
Show me where it says there cannot be regulatory checks on the island of Ireland.
What are you talking about? In the protocol or in the Good Friday Agreement? Like, he wants to get rid of the protocol, and he, as his questioner said, was no fan of the Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement, the Belfast Agreement. So I think he was a member of the DUP. So he was against the Good Friday Agreement from the get-go. So why do you care about the Good Friday Agreement?
To show me where there can be the Northern Ireland campaign a different...
But that's like saying, show me where in the Good Friday Agreement it talks about aliens. It doesn't. You're asking for where it talks about borders, electronic borders, or where does it talk about economic borders, or where does it talk about X, Y, and Z? It doesn't. But we use it as a framework. It was the objectives were to reduce the security threat on the island of Ireland. You want to increase it. That would be breaching the Good Friday Agreement.
Single market. It says none of those things. And yet you would think that it says all of those things because of the lies and misrepresentation of those who present and promote the protocol.
Okay, but look at it here, Jim. Removal of security installations. So you're advocating indirectly for a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So don't you understand that that would include security installations? Once again, Jim doesn't care about the Good Friday Agreement, but he's happy to pull it out and use it as a stick against the protocol. These people have presented no alternative. They just want to get rid of the protocol. They don't care what happens after. It's not their concern. If there is violence in Northern Ireland, it's not their concern. They actually probably would welcome it, because it would drive more people to their side. It would split Northern Ireland down the middle. Since the Good Friday Agreement, Northern Ireland generally has been coming closer together. The people have been coming closer together. People have been putting aside their differences, their religious differences, and people like this guy want to go back to the bad old days. They want to return to a time when there was real division. But I'm sorry, Jim, you represent the past. The vast majority of people in Northern Ireland want to get on with their lives. They don't care about religious differences. They don't care about the protocol. They understand that there are problems, but they understand that those problems stem from Brexit, something that you supported. I'll leave a link in the description to the entire video. I do recommend checking it out. It is extremely frustrating to watch, because these people just complain and complain and complain and provide no actual alternatives or no solutions. But that is what this community is all about. I'm talking about the loyalist community. They don't actually have any answers. They just want to complain. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?